So I was looking into the data on millennials and alcohol use and weed smoking, and I found something very interesting that I want to share with you today that can explain some of the cultural differences that we experience and just some of the behaviors of today. So if that sounds interesting, welcome in, fam. Much love, Trav here. So we're going to start off by explaining what the data is, and then we're going to talk about really what it means and what to do about it and why it's increasingly a problem and what the solution is. So the data is interesting, is that millennials drink a lot less alcohol than previous generations, than the boomers. The boomers drink a lot more. Millennials, there's still drinking problems, but millennials drink significantly less than previous generations, according to the data. That's awesome. That part is very good. That's interesting. The second part that's interesting about this, though, is that millennials smoke a lot more weed than any previous generation. So millennials and below, I guess Zoomers fit into here too, they're not drinking as much, they're smoking a lot more weed. And what's interesting and really harmful about this is the lack of education around the problems of weed. I know that I fell into this group where I knew that, weed, like alcohol is super harmful, it's poisonous, you see the problems, you see the drunks on the street, but then hearing like, weed has no side effects, it's non-addictive, it's good for you, it's cool, like, I'll smoke weed, I'm not really gonna be a drinker. I drank here and there, I drank to excess at points in my life, but my problem was weed because I thought it wasn't a problem. And this is the problem, is that there's a whole generation of people who think it's not a problem. One of the biggest myths about weed, one of them that we're talking about, is that if thinking that you're quitting smoking weed is going to somehow harm you socially. One of the biggest problems, though, is thinking there's no problem. One of the biggest problems is thinking there's no issue, right? There's a whole generation of people who think that weed is not only cool, but it does nothing bad. They don't know that it's associated statistically with being broke, because it hurts your memory. There's studies that find that people who smoke weed don't know as many words. They don't learn as much, they don't learn as fast, they don't remember, they don't make as good decisions. There's more schizophrenia, there's higher anxiety, and there's a lot of problems. People don't know this. Millennials don't know this, so they're smoking a lot of weed. Now, what's really interesting is it's because the problems that you experience from drinking alcohol don't transfer over one-to-one, so you think there's no problems, where it's like, when I drink alcohol, like, I lose motor control. Well, that doesn't happen when I smoke weed, so there's no problem with weed, right? When I drink alcohol, I get alcohol poisoning, I poison my liver. Well, I don't have that problem with weed, so therefore there's not problems with weed. Weed has plenty of problems, they're just different problems, right? And this is something that millennials and Zoomers and young people don't understand, that's different from our parents' generation. Because my parents' generation, the boomer generation, felt differently, where alcohol's okay, but there's problems with weed. There's problems with weed. My parents would tell me, hey, there's problems with weed. And I'm like, but I'm hearing that there's not. So maybe you're wrong, right? And they're right. They're right. The boomers are right, wrong on alcohol, but right about weed. And the millennials are wrong about weed. So I just want you to recognize that there's problems with weed, that it's not no issue, that it's gonna harm your life, and that life is a game of learning, memory, decision making. Has a massive impact on your life. And when it's like, my learning, my memory, and my decision making are all impaired over time, it's just going to cause you to make bad decisions, associate with the wrong people, do the wrong things, have all sorts of problems develop in your life. Not just problems, but you'll be in the same place. That's something that I noticed, of like, I didn't have a lot of major problems creep up, or maybe I did and I just ignored them. I just kind of stayed at the same place. My earnings stayed the same, my net worth stayed the same, and from 23 to 24, that's fine. From 24 to 20, over a 1 year period, that's fine. But when I woke up and it's like 7 years later, I have the same amount of money in the bank. I'm making roughly the same amount of money. Like, this isn't, I'm supposed to advance, right? I didn't advance, right? And the weed, I mean, there's other problems, but one of the things that weed does is it distracts you from the real problems. So once I quit smoking weed, I could see what the problems were and I could solve the problems, right? So I just want you to be aware of the problems of smoking weed, and that it's getting bigger because, shout out to the wind, by the way, wonderful, beautiful day out here. More and more people are smoking weed. More and more people are having these problems. But these people don't know. So just trying to spread the word, try to spread the word. And also for you, knowing about these problems and having a negative association makes it easy to not smoke weed, makes it easy to quit smoking weed. When it's like, well, I realize that I just don't feel like I want to do it because I realize it actually is bad for you and I care about myself and I don't want to harm my future, right? It's like, well, weed doesn't cause cancer. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it makes you fucking slow and foggy, right? It's like, this isn't a problem, therefore there's no problem. No. Yeah, there's a lot of things that weed won't do to you, but there's a lot of bad things that it will do to you, okay? Hope you found that useful. Want to let you know, just launched. It's going to be up for a limited time. 30-day no weed challenge. It'll be a lot of fun. There's going to be a short video, short exercise every day. Weed-free community group, and there's a link to that at the top of the description. So go check it out. Weed-free challenge. Link down below. If this resonates with you and you want to change, or you're going through the change and you're having struggles, you're having problems, you want to do it in a more fun way, more social way, with community, take the weed-free challenge, 30-day no weed challenge. Link down below. Okay, hope that sounds useful. If that video was helpful to you, hit the thumbs up. Comment down below what's some harmful myth you believed about weed and what's some negative thing that you realize about weed, okay? Some negative association that you now have. All right, sound good? Appreciate you, much love, and talk to you soon. Peace.